Welcome to the Calsoft podcast series. This is your host Mark Rodriguez. With me today, after a very long time, we're going to be having three members of our team joining us for the topic Proliferation of Cloud Integrated Storage. I'm going to introduce the guys in order. First up, we have Srinivas Kulkarni, who's a senior QA technical lead. Welcome, Srinivas.
Hi, Mark.
Srinivas has over 14 years of working in the storage domain, which includes NAS, SAN, iSCSI, FCP, etc. He's also worked on NFS, NDMP, HFS file systems too. Srinivas has done a lot of work in migration, replication, snapshot, backup, recovery, dedupe, etc. So it's great to have you on the show, Srinivas. Second up, we have Monica Manwani, who's a QA engineer. Hey, Monica.
Hello, Mark.
Monica has worked with us primarily on the virtualization and the storage domains. She has worked on multiple aspects of testing, including regression, functional, performance, and negative testing. And she has experience on working on multiple tools like Bugzilla, Jira, etc. And lastly, we have with us today Amit Devgan, who is a QA engineer too. Hey, Amit.
Hi, Mark.
Amit is an experienced storage QA, so he has experience working across cross-cutting technologies. He's now actually working with us on new initiatives in Calsoft, and he's contributing towards the growth of storage, mobility, cloud, and IoT. So a lot of exciting work that these guys are doing. It's great to have you guys on the show.
Thank you, Mark.
So I'm going to jump right into the topic, cloud integrated storage. What is it?
Mark, I would like to take it.
Yeah?
So CIS, Cloud Integrated Storage, is a SAN, that is Storage Area Network, and NAS, that is Network Attached Storage, or we can call it as Unified Storage System.
Yeah.
That tiers and or caches data to cloud-based storage and treats the cloud storage as if it were part of the local storage system.
Okay, that's interesting. So how does this work, or can you throw some more light on this?
Yeah, Mark, I'll just take you on this. CIS typically house on-premises and manages both local as well as a cloud storage.
Okay.
So cloud storage, cloud data appears as if it is local. In common scenario, the CIS system automatically tiers or caches the most active data to a local storage for faster access and uses the cloud-based storage for less active data.
Right.
The user is able to employ features of primary storage systems such as snapshot, thin provisioning, data reduction with the cloud database.
So that's interesting, Srinivas. But can you tell us a little more about this?
Yeah, Mark. So to start with, local storage exists with an integrated connection with the cloud storage.
Right.
CIS treats the cloud-based storage as a primary storage target and also uses a local storage target to use only the cache data.
Right.
So CIS uses a software to create the geographical distributed clusters that combines the capacity of a local storage as well as the cloud storage. So CIS system provides the user flexibility, economic advantage of cloud-based storage. So in order to provide, it provides the functionality, control, performance of traditional storage systems.
Okay. How do you make a business case for going for cloud integrated storage then? What is your take on it?
Actually, CIS shifts the actual data storage away from the hardware to the cloud, where it can be accessed by a new class of storage controller or cloud gateway.
Okay.
These gateways are essentially local storage caches with built-in encryption and WAN optimization functions.
So it makes sense to move to a cloud-based storage solution.
Yeah.
Okay, then if you're saying yes, what is the difference between the traditional NAS solutions and how the CIS works?
Yeah, Mark, CIS shifts the center of not only the storage but control from hardware in your data center to the cloud. Each hardware unit becomes an access point to the storage system. The data is completely decoupled from the hardware. Instead of having data volume reside in particular device, data lives in the cloud. Hardware is no longer at the center of the storage universe. Let us see the diagram.
For all our listeners, this diagram is not going to show up on your audio feed, but you can look at the diagram on our website. We should have it there where we're hosting the podcast. Thank you. You may continue, Srinivas.
First, let us discuss a local storage setup. We have appliance which process the data and is connected to a local storage which stores on a hard disk. In addition to local storage, we have a cloud storage. Let us consider a scenario where there is no free space left in your local storage. So in that case, we can, instead of buying a new storage, we can go for a data archival to cloud.
Okay, that makes sense.
We can store data which is less frequently used to a cloud, which helps to free the space in our local storage.
Okay.
Hence, frequently used data gets cached into a local storage, and rarely accessed data is stored on a cloud storage.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. As when data is stored on CIS, it makes a multiple copies of your data across different geographical locations.
Yeah.
Here, when data is stored on site 1, later the data is replicated to site 2, site 3 and so on, which are present at the different geographical location based on policies and schedule that we define.
Correct.
Also, when data is stored in a cloud, it helps for disaster recovery.
Okay, so basically you're covering your bases for anything that goes wrong with your data, right?
Yeah. So for disaster recovery, Monica will put some light on it.
Okay.
So disaster recovery is an area where organization is planning for security, which is dealing with disasters. So now the question arises is how it is working and how it is dealing with disasters.
Right.
So the option is taking backup of the data at multiple locations.
Yeah.
So whenever the data is sent to the cloud for storage, cloud storage vendors make the replication of data over different geographical locations
Yeah.
with some policies and schedules that we define.
Correct.
So we don't need to worry about the data. So we don't need to worry about the backup of the data. That means the overhead of the end users melt away, and he has just saved his data over CIS.
Okay.
So whenever any disaster strike on one location, we are unable to access the data from that location, but we have multiple other locations where the data is saved.
So you're saying we can access it from there?
Yes, so we can access the data from other multiple locations. So this is how disaster recovery is working with no data loss.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so then can someone tell me the advantages and tell our listeners the advantages of CIS backup over traditional backup?
Yeah, there is an advantage of CIS over a traditional backup.
Okay.
For example, in traditional backup, we require tape drives and backup applications installed in one of our client. Organization need to hire a people with expertise to execute a backup operations.
Correct.
So it becomes organized overhead to manage all operations.
Right.
And also there is need to manage hardware for the backup.
Correct.
But in case of CIS, it is all overhead of a cloud vendor to provide a backup of your data.
Yeah.
So hence CIS provides convenient way to providing a backup for an end user.
Okay, that makes sense. That definitely is different. Okay. So are there any notable advantages of cloud integrated storage other than what you've just said?
Yes, Mark. Obviously, there are many advantages of cloud integrated storage. So cloud is a powerful and a cost-effective way to deal with the data growth problem many enterprises are facing today. But the cloud storage is not merely a vast and inexpensive repository for old files.
Yeah.
When leveraged effectively with the right technology, the cloud integrated storage can deliver a whole new range of enterprise benefits, including global file sharing, rapid disaster recovery, and simple centralized IT management over a global storage infrastructure.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay. So if I have to list down some of the points, so they would be: it reduces the infrastructure requirement to build a dedicated lab within the organizations.
Right.
It reduces electricity requirements and the manpower within the organization to manage the storage and help to reduce the global warming.
Right.
Businesses using cloud storage can cut their consumption up to 70%, making them a more green business.
Right.
So also CIS helps in reducing the investments on the hardware management, and there is no need of upgradation of a new hardware. Also, CIS can retain unlimited number of snapshots without any impact of storage performance or utilization. This means that snapshot can finally eliminate the need of backup because the access to the data can be re-established from different locations, including the cloud itself. CIS enables a simpler, more robust, as well as it helps in disaster recovery plan also. Also, one thing I would like to mention here is that the logical location of data never changes, even if the data needs to be accessed from different locations or if hardware refreshes during the endpoints.
Yeah.
This is a fundamental difference between CIS and traditional storage.
Right. So all of these reasons obviously mean that scalability is a major advantage, right?
Yeah. Scalability provides end user facility to scale up its storage to any extent as well as scale down as per the requirement. So also pay per use. End user can pay only for that much amount of storage that he or she is going to be used. So there is no need of buying an additional storage.
Okay, so how does this work? If I have certain data to be mapped to let's say the cloud, how does that work? Can you share an example?
So if a customer has a 256 terabyte NAS box with him or her and he wants to scale up the storage, so what he can do, instead of buying a new hardware, he can go for that additional amount of storage on the cloud,
Yeah.
and which would reduce its capital investments.
Mhm.
So in this way he or she can earn more profits by investing in a smarter way.
Okay, so if I'm saying that I'm scaling up 20 terabytes, what happens when I'm done using it? Is that repurposed?
Yeah, so that is the biggest advantage, that when you are being used your amount of storage which you are getting on the cloud,
Yeah.
so that amount of storage you can free up also,
Okay.
so that it could be used by other customers. So in this way you are paying only for that much which amount of storage you are using.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. This all sounds very, very interesting, but as with technology, there may be a few challenges, right? Are there any actually?
Yes, Mark, there are definitely few challenges. So the first, or we can call it as main concern, is the security. So when we are talking about the security, there may be two security concerns.
Right.
First is the protection of data integrity,
Uh-huh.
and the other one is data access control.
Okay.
So when talking about the data integrity, the owner of the data may not fully satisfied or trust the cloud server vendors and worry that the data which is stored on the cloud could be corrupted and removed or hacked.
Okay.
So and when talking about the data access control, the owner of the data may worry that some dishonest servers provide the access of the data to the users who are not permitted to access it.
Okay.
Next concern is latency. So there are few factors which are affecting the latency, and they are number of routers or ground to satellite communication on the way to target server.
Yeah.
Next is when many users share a single storage, then the request may build up in a queue and which cause congestion over the network.
Correct.
And next factor is any drive failure.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything else?
Yes. So with the increase in latency, the throughput decreases.
Okay.
Next challenge is WAN overhead. So if customer's WAN is busy, it increases the number of networks over which the data travels. Instead of just a LAN or SAN, data stored on cloud requires a WAN to connect them both. That's why some organizations invest in a dedicated WAN.
Is there also a performance lag or a performance decrease?
Yes, definitely there is a performance issue also. as the latency increases, there is decrease of performance. So it negatively affects the operations like read and write.
So then, taking into mind all of these advantages and disadvantages we've just discussed, do you still think cloud integrated storage is the way to go?
Yes.
Okay, thanks Monica. I've done a little bit of research myself. I've come back with a few numbers. So what you guys are saying pretty much corroborates our research. There was a study that was done recently to understand how the global cloud storage market is growing. It seems to be growing at a compounded annual growth of 28.2%. So what was worth an industry worth USD 18.87 billion in 2015 is now going to be USD 65.41 billion by 2020. So I'm really glad that you guys have come on to discuss this this technology, which is only seems to be growing. I have one last question for you. We've also been discussing the advent of green storage, right?
Yeah.
How is CIS is CIS impacting green storage at all? And if yes, how? Or can you throw some more light on that?
Yes, definitely it is impacting the green storage. As you think, if you go for the CIS, in the sense the entire storage or entire the data is at our cloud area. It helps to reduce the carbon footprints generated by data centers.
Correct.
So definitely CIS is an advantage. If you go for a traditional backups, there we need an hardware which also requires the space, and it also requires an energy, and that energy actually generates a global warming, and which is actually harmful. So in that case, CIS is definitely an advantage for the storage industries. Since we always use a since when we use a CIS, the data is stored at the cloud, and that is entirely taken care of the cloud vendors, and also we can reduce the space that is required at our local lab.
Right. So all you're saying is that this is a very smart way to use technology and hardware and software, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So I think that's a wrap for our podcast today. We've learned some very good points. We've also understood the CIS industry is growing at a breakneck pace. We would love to sit down and watch what's happening in the space. Until then, if you have any feedback about our podcast or if you have any suggestions for us, you can write to us at marketing@calsoftinc.com. That email address is marketing@calsoftinc.com. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank you guys for coming on the show today. It was great having you.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, guys. We'll be back to you very soon with a lot of new topics. Till then, thanks and have a great day. Bye-bye.